Hi, I am Kathy Henry, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker in the Indianapolis area, and I'm proud to work for Healing Hearts of Indy. Today I would like to talk about whether or not the relationships that you have been in, you might call them failed relationships, were a waste or not. I see people frequently that are dealing with end of relationship situations or grieving the loss of a relationship. And they want to know, did I waste my time? And what I've come to know through my own life experience and through watching my clients from over the years is that really it may feel like a waste of time, but in reality, there is really no other way for us to learn things about ourselves except by being in relationship with someone else. What I mean by that is when we are in relationship with someone else, we see their personality, their values, their traits, their practices, their beliefs, and we see the differences between them and us. And what that does, when I see that someone else handles things differently, that highlights for me something that I didn't really know about myself. Like, for example, am I someone who moves very quickly, or am I someone who's laid back? Am I someone who is extremely social, or am I someone who needs a lot of alone time and I need to be able to isolate and more of a loner type person? And these things, they really aren't in our awareness. We don't know. It just is until we meet up with someone else and we actually are spending time with them, and then we recognize that well, wait a minute, they're different than I am. And then a lot of times what we do is we fight and we try to convince the other person their way should be like ours because that's what we've always known. And that's where a lot of our conflict in relationships comes from, is that trying to bring that other person over into our way of thinking, our way of doing things and so forth. And there's that conflict. And then they are also doing that in reverse with us. And so creates a lot of fireworks in a relationship. So as we mature and grow, we begin to understand, oh, this is just something I need to know about myself, and that is just something I need to know about that person. Now I'm in a position where I can make a decision whether being in a relationship with that person is right or not. If I can handle that they're slower or not as social or whatever. What I talk to people a lot of times about, and again, I have come to this awareness through my own experience and also through watching my clients and doing marriage counseling for 10 years, is that when we first get together, especially if we're young, we have no idea who we are. We don't know for sure, am I social and I need lots of interaction with other people? Or am I someone who needs a lot of alone time and I'm going to be spending 6 nights a week at home, and maybe I'm okay going out to dinner one night versus my partner who wants to go out 6 nights a week and stay home one. And when we don't know ourselves well enough, yet we get into a relationship with someone and they don't know themselves well enough, all that stuff's going to come out. And that is where a lot of the conflict comes from in a relationship. The point of it all is not to say don't get in a relationship. The point of it is that by being in these relationships and learning these things about the other people, which highlights what we need to know about ourselves. Like, I'm not someone who can stay home for 6 nights a week and then only go out one night a week. That's just not who I am, maybe. And so that's something I need to know about myself, and I need to know that before I get into a relationship. And like I said, most of us, when we got into relationships early on, we weren't developed enough. We didn't have enough awareness. We didn't know ourselves. And so it was very, very difficult for us to be able to say, I know exactly what I'm getting into. And that's why so many marriages, I think, are failing, is because of that. So as we get older and we get more mature, if we use that information, if we are gaining that awareness and we're using that information to know ourselves before we get into the next relationship, then we're going to have a lot more success. Unfortunately, a lot of people are caught up in the romanticized idea that the other person is here to make me feel good, not to teach me lessons about myself. And so there again creates a lot of conflict. And so I hope this has been helpful to you. If you are coming out of a failed relationship, I want to say I'm sorry. I know that it's difficult. It's life changing. It's gut wrenching. It's just soul jarring. But I do want to give you encouragement and hope that someday down the road, you'll be able to recognize maybe some things about yourself that you didn't know that you learned from this relationship. And therefore, the relationship really wasn't a waste. It was just a growth opportunity for you. So I thank you so much for listening, and I really appreciate the time.